Most leaders think understanding people is their superpower, and they're right. It's what got them promoted. It's why people follow them. It's the thing they're most confident about in a room full of confident people. But there's something that happens at a certain level of leadership that nobody talks about. The same skill that made you exceptional starts working against you, not in obvious ways and not in ways you'd catch, in the quiet ones, the ones happening in meetings you think are going well, in conversations you think you're leading. And the psychology behind this is not what you'd expect. In the 1970s, researchers studying workplace psychology found something that didn't make sense. When highly competent people were promoted into leadership, the ones with the best track record, the sharpest instincts, the most earned credibility, their decision making got worse. Not immediately, gradually, and not in every area, specifically in their read of people, the thing that they were best at. Here's why. The brain is a prediction machine. It doesn't process every situation fresh. It matches patterns. It finds the closest thing it already knows and it fills the gap fast. And the more experience you have, the faster it works. So by the time you've led for 5, 10, 15 years, your brain isn't reading the room anymore. It's confirming what it already decided before you walked in. Psychologists call this cognitive closure. You think you're listening, you're not. You're pattern matching. And the sharper your instincts, the more certain your patterns, the less information actually gets through. Think about how you built the skill of reading people. Early in your career, you were slower, more certain. You sat with things longer. You asked more questions. You got things wrong. You adjusted. And slowly, you built a model. You started getting it right. And every time you did, you got rewarded. More trust, more responsibility, more rooms where people deferred to you. The message repeated until it became identity. You understand people. That's your gift. So you leaned into it. Stop second guessing the read. Stop sitting in ambiguity longer than you needed to. Why would you? It's working. What felt like sharpness was pattern recognition on autopilot. And autopilot works right up until the situation changes. And you don't notice because you already know what's happening. Here's what it looks like from the outside. Someone comes to you with a problem. 3 sentences in, you already know what they're going to say. You finish their thought. You offer the solution. You move on. You call it efficiency. They call it something else. A direct report flags a concern about a decision you've already made. You listen. You nod. But your body left the conversation 30 seconds ago. You categorize them. You know the angle. You know what this is really about. So the information never lands. A new person joins your leadership team. Different background. Sees things differently. First meeting, you clock how they think. And somewhere, quietly, you've already decided how much weight their perspective gets. None of this feels like arrogance from the inside. From the inside, it feels like experience, earned judgment, pattern recognition, a calibrated eye. That's the trap, because it's earned judgment. It's just being applied somewhere it no longer fits. Here's the thing about this pattern. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't walk in saying, I've already decided what I think about you. It walks in using all the right language. I want to hear your perspective. Tell me what you're seeing that I'm not. My door is always open. Sound familiar? That's the language of a leader who understands people, deployed in the service of someone who stopped being changed by them. The tell is what happens after. The open door nobody walks through twice. The request for perspective that never gets heard, acknowledged, and quietly gets filed away. The question that was never really a question. You've learned the language of genuine curiosity without the behavior to back it up. And the people around you know it. They've worked it out long before you did. Here's how you know which side of this you're on. Someone on your team tells you something that contradicts your read of a situation. Before they're finished, where are you? Are you actually in the information, or are you already somewhere else? Weighing their credibility, measuring their motive, deciding whether this person understands enough to be telling you this. They're still talking. You're already at a verdict. That's the tell. Because a leader who genuinely presents to their people, the challenge lands as data first. First thought, what does this tell me about the situation? Not, what does this tell me about them? Same room, same conversation, completely different leader. And here's the part that should concern you. The higher the stakes, the worse it gets. The board meeting where someone asks the uncomfortable question. The exec team session where the numbers start moving. The one-to-one with the person who's already halfway out the door. The moment you need accurate information, or the moment your brain is working hardest to give you something else. And here's why this matters beyond you. You don't carry this privately. Your team doesn't experience your leadership in abstract. They experience what it feels like to bring you information. Whether the truth is safe, whether a different view lands or gets managed, whether the right people are speaking or the comfortable ones. A leader who believes they understand people but has stopped being moved by them creates a very specific culture. People become fluent in what you want to hear. They learn your tells, your biases, the angles that land and the ones that don't. They stop bringing you early problems. They start bringing you managed ones. And slowly, without any decision being made, without any meaning for it to happen, you lose access to reality. Not because your people stop telling you, because you trained them to stop. The research findings weren't about arrogance. It wasn't about leaders who stopped caring. It was about something quieter than that. The more expertise you build in reading people, the more certain your reads become. And certainty is the enemy of accuracy. At the level of individual skill, that makes you fast, decisive, confident. At the level of leadership, it makes you unreachable. You're not missing information because it isn't there. You're missing it because you already know what it means. And the people who could correct that stop trying. So here's the question. When did you last sit with someone on your team and genuinely not know where the conversation was going to go? Not because you hadn't prepared, but because you were actually open to being surprised by them. Most leaders at the top of their game can't answer that. The ones who can, you feel it when you talk to them. There's something different. They're not performing curiosity. They're actually curious. They ask questions they don't know the answer to. They change their read in real time without apology. That's not a personality trait, it's a practice. And it starts with one uncomfortable truth. The skill most of you are proud of, the one that's got you here, might be the exact thing standing between you and the leader you're trying to become. If something in this landed, if you recognize a moment, a meeting, a conversation where you weren't as present as you thought, subscribe, because that recognition, that's what this channel's about. Not leadership theory, the real psychology underneath the decisions you're already making every week. See you next time.